in today's episode of the Pommy Wrap, we take a look. Can Geelong get the win against the high-flying Western Bulldogs? GWS have been impressive early on in the year, but can they beat the Gold Coast Suns? Or the Gold Coast Suns, will they surprise? Many people's pre-tournament favourites Carlton have had a difficult start, starting 0-2. Can they grab their first win against a very resilient St Kilda? The Battle of Melbourne. Melbourne Demons take on the Kangaroos. The Kangaroos flying in a strong backline, but the Demons have impressed many. Will experience overcome flair? Battles of the Juggernauts here. Adelaide Crows have been flying high, and so have Fremantle. Fremantle have a tough trip to South Australia. Will they come home with the chocolates? Tigers have really struggled of late against a team that are absolutely flying at the moment. Who will win this one? It's a huge game in AFL, but will it live up to the AFLW billing? Brisbane Lions have looked dominant in the forward line against a hapless West Coast Eagles. How will this one turn out? Will it be a Lions domination, or will the Eagles surprise? Hello everyone, welcome back to Pommyinoz. If you are new around here, please drop a like, please drop a subscribe, it means the world to me. And we're on the Pommy Wrap and it's AFL round 3, that's crazy, this has flown by this year. And obviously we start off, like the preview said, with Geelong versus the Doggies. Now, Geelong unfortunately didn't get up in this one. The Bulldogs ran out 15-point winners, 3-6-24, defeating Geelong 1-3-9. And the Doggies saw off an absolute, real determined Geelong side. However, Ellie Blackburn was absolutely ferocious in this game, and she was really the difference in a real tense affair at the GMHBA Stadium on Friday night. She finished up with 25 touches and was a threat throughout. Other notes for the Doggies as well is Jess Fitzgerald. She delivered much on her early draft pick, which was number 2 this year, and really took her goal well. And she had a bit of Dustin Martin fend-off action in a build-up to that goal. She finished off a classy finish, and she ended up the game with 8 touches, 5 tackles, and she's really growing into something quite promising. The Cats, on the other hand, it was a tale of the season so far. So close, yet not quite there. They have signs and there is something there to work with. Amy McDonald in particular, she led the way with 24 touches, 6 tackles as well, and she's backed up as well by Purcell, who looks quite the find for them in the ruck, but tackle pressure only accounts for so much, and they just really can't find the old end product. They can't get them 6 points. McWilliams, on the other hand, though, when she does get the ball inside 50, she delivers on the goals. But at this stage, there's definitely a department for them to find a conduit between midfield and the forward line. Dogs, their run continues, and they will be really keen on challenging for top honours. They look quite a threat, and you wouldn't want to come across them in the finals. Goals for the sides then, McWilliams getting the solitary goal for the Geelong team. Western Bulldogs though, Huntington, McLeod and Fitzgerald grabbed her goals. And the best on ground for me, McWilliams, McDonald and Purcell for the Geelong Cats. They were all 3 standout players for them. The Doggies, Blackburn, Lamb and Huntington make up their numbers. Then we went to Blacktown International Sports Park to see GWS, and they ended up beating by 10 the Gold Coast Suns. GWS 2-6-18, beating 1-2-8. And really the Gold Coast Suns performance was matched only by the weather. It was drab and it was miserable. GWS, on the other hand, Alice Parker continues her Red form and really tore this game open, producing a bull-like display in the centre of the park. 24 touches, 6 clearances and 5 absolute barnstorming tackles. And she was backed up by her usual messers. Beeson, who had 23 touches and 7 tackles herself. And because of these two, the Suns couldn't find any rhythm out of the centre. The GWS goal girls really produced an assured performance. The Suns, though, did battle hard, and Drennan, she had 22 touches herself and 12 tackles. But aside from that, and the moments from Stanton and Hearns down back, there really wasn't anyone supporting the kicks forward and the kicks in the middle, and they couldn't get a grasp on the game. By half-time, really, the game was effectively done. Gold Coast did well to hold their end of the bargain up, and they had their share of chances in the first. But the way they play at the moment is too predictable and too easy to defend against. In the end, it was a demonstration of just how good the Giant girls are, and the Suns probably have more questions than answers. Gold Coast, it looks a tough year for them, and although they showed promise last year and I tipped them to do well this year, it looks like they've been found out and they need to come up with a plan B soon. GWS, on the other hand, though, if you give Parker and you give Beeson space, they are going to kill you. Eva, too, she's absolutely killing it. It looks a good side, GWS, and they could bring a bit of happiness in the Sydney area. The goals, Davis and Eva for GWS, they took their goals well. Stanton, she grabbed the solitary goal for the Gold Coast Suns. And the best on ground for me, Parker, Beeson and Eva for GWS, and Drennan, Hearns and Stanton for me were the standouts for Gold Coast. Up to more rabbing next, and we finally saw my Blue Girls, Carlton 6-4-40, defeat the Saints by 24, 2-4-16, and it was a windy old day up at Moorabbin, and we finally got to see the much talked about bells of both sides go head to head. In the blue corner we had Madison Prasparkis, and in the black, white and red corner we had Patriarchos, who has been sensational, and it was the Blue Girls who got the win here, putting on a truly dominant performance. But Patriarchos did get a lot of her own ball and did display the skills that many have said has seen her break out this year. In a game where the wind really dictated much of the outcome, it was defensive efforts from the Blue Girls that really got the job done. They swung girls down the back and really put on a dominant display in the first half, much against the wind in the first quarter particularly. And it was the forward movement in the second quarter that really produced something. They used the wind well, and Madison herself picking up 17 touches in the first half alone, being an absolute dominant point at that point. She ended up with 24 touches and 5 tackles and a goal for her efforts, and it was a well-taken goal, I might add. There may be some question marks though. She came across a hard tag and she didn't really do much in the second half, but by that stage the damage had been done. That being said though, Patriarchos, she had her moments. 20 touches and 5 tackles herself. Priest as well survived much of the Carlton onslaught in the second and the fourth, and she was the difference maker for them, because it could have been a lot worse at one stage. Egan, though, she had her best game in 2021, really stepping up when Madison was dual tagged. She ended the day with 24 touches, 3 tackles. Another shout out as well for Carlton was O'Day, their big summer recruit, who really had her best game. She was shifted down the back, in the middle and up forward, and she impacted anywhere she went. All in all, it wasn't the masterclass we hoped for from the Carlton girls, but it was a dominant performance, and it is one moving ahead that would suggest they've hit their straps. They have Richmond this week. It's not the hardest of games, so they should go into that one with 2 wins on the bounce, hoping for more of the tougher stuff. The Saints, on the other hand, will feel a little bit disappointed. It was a tough game for them. Griezler, the superstar they had, she was outdone very early on by Lalofi, and it'll be interesting to see where they're going. But one defeat this early in the season won't really make much difference to their season. I think they'll be competing for finals, and it should be entertaining all the way. The goals, Griezler and Sherlaw for the St Kilda girls. Carlton, Stevens had 2. Brazel, Downey, O'Day and Prasparkis grabbing the goals. Best on ground though for me was Patriarchos, Priest and Lucas Rodd for St Kilda. Prasparkis, O'Day and Egan were the cut above the cloth for the Carlton girls. We went for the Battle of Melbourne next, and the Demons, as I predicted at the start of the week, they ended up winners. 9-6 for 60, defeating North 8-3 by 9 points. And this was a game that, like I said in my preview, was a ripper. Styles make fights, and boy oh boy was I right. With the Demons showing their experience and gift to run out against a much fancied North Melbourne side and retain their undefeated tag. 2020 All-Australian star and captain Karen Paxman delivered an absolute masterclass again, and she was up against head-to-head superstar in Emma Kearney, but she came out the winner, finishing with 25 touches, 3 tackles, 1 goal, 1 behind. And it didn't stop with Paxman. Mitchin roamed around the ground. She picked up 21 touches. Hanks in the ruck delivered a Max Gawn-like performance, finding the pill at will, adding as an extra midfielder and really helping the Demons gain the upper hand in the second term. In the second half, it was probably one of the best games of football you'll see in all formats of the game. It was end-to-end stuff, and the Demons dug deep and saw off a very dangerous North Melbourne side. North, though, it wasn't all the Demons' way. Kearney might have not been a usual dominant self, but she tackled hard, and she finished with 16 touches, 8 tackles, and Riddell did her best as well to offer something. 17 touches from her, 6 tackles, but in the end, it was the skill set of Melbourne. Pearce and Goldrick ran them so ragged, offering outside run, offering reliability, and controlled the fourth, and in the end, in the fourth, they could just see the game out and control the footy. Melbourne, a massive win for them, and they're going to be dangerous and they are going to be a threat. North Melbourne, they'll take this one on the chin, but I expect them to bounce back hard next week. The goals for Melbourne: Parry got 3, Cunningham 2, Scott 2, Hoare and Paxman a goal apiece. North Melbourne, though, 2 for Garner, 2 for Bannister, Campbell, Kearney, Abajala and Edie, all with a goal. Best on ground for me, I thought Paxman, Hanks and Mithen were brilliant for them. North Melbourne, Kearney, Riddell and Ashmill, fantastic. Then we had the battle of 2 tough sides. Adelaide, they ended up losing 1-7-13 by 30 points to Fremantle, 7 goals, 1 for 43 by 30 points. And Fremantle really made a statement away from home. We knew it was going to be tough going to the Norwood Oval in South Australia and absolutely destroyed the much fancied Crows side. I've been saying for a while now that this outside run of Fremantle and the list they've built is going to be dangerous, and it's starting to tick at the right time. And they were literally no holds barred, and the Crows had no answer. They could hold the Crows and they, more importantly, hurt them. Erin Phillips was quieter than her usual self, and that was much from the brilliant work from the Dockers, finishing the day with 14 touches, 1 goal, 2 behinds. Marinoff and Hatchard, though, obviously they find the ball at will, but they couldn't have their usual impact, and it was a real great defensive and midfield display from Fremantle. It was Duffy and Sharp in the first term who really did the damage. They ran riot, spreading the play and really putting pressure on the back line. Bowers, though, absolute star, 23 touches, 13 tackles. She opened Adelaide up like a hot knife through butter. Sharp and Houghton, as usual, put the icing on the cake. And it was a clinical performance in front of goal, 7 goals, 1. Adelaide now, they'll have questions. People have worked out how to play them. The benchmark has been set. Quick outside run, early entries, and they look like they struggle, particularly at home. If you're a Victorian side now, you'll fancy playing them in your own backyard. Freo, on the other hand, they won't fear anyone. Morale boosting win. They'll be at the top of the tree, and I can't wait to see this side go up against one of the top sides in finals football. It will be great. Goals then: Phillips with a sultry goal for the Crows, Sharp 2, Houghton 2, Haynes, Webb and Duffy for Fremantle. Best on ground, I thought Marinoff, Martin and Hatchard were brilliant for the Crows. Fremantle, Bowers, Duffy and Sharp, they wrapped that up. Then we had Collingwood. They were 7 goals, 6 for 48. They beat a resurgent Richmond Tigers by 17, 4 goals, 7 behinds. And the Pies continue their run, more importantly. And this wasn't the most polished and complete performance, but they survived a bruising and tough encounter against a very resilient Richmond side. Brianna Davey threatened to blow the game open early doors, and she ran through Richmond in the first half, and she finished a dominant day for her with 25 touches, a goal, and 7 absolute clinical tackles. She showed her experience, and she really dragged the Magpies home. Her partner in crime, Benocchi, finished with 30 touches, 10 marks, and was dominant. Wherever Davey wasn't, she was there, and she was backed up by Cole of Lambert. Their ball movement at times is methodical, and it is precision, and it is clinical. Their ability to avoid stoppages, move it on the outside, get the ball running is going to be challenging for a lot of times, for a lot of teams in this comp. And when it clicks, I can't see it being beaten. Few sides can keep up with it. There was moments though for the Richmond girls, and they threatened towards the end. Gabby Seymour was dominant in the centre. She won a lot of first ball. Brennan was always a threat wherever she is. She made some fantastic plays. But a big shout out to Monique Conte, who I cannot talk highly enough of. She showed why, in my opinion, she is the best contested player in this comp, finishing with 25 touches and was a real live wire throughout. If they can get the people around her and get that game plan working for her to kick towards, they could be a threat. In the end, though, game style and experience won out. The Magpies got a very important win, and it was a lesson for them in how to control the game a little bit more. The Tiger Girls, though, it's looking tough. But a win will come. They won't finish winless. I guarantee that. And just find some help for Conte, and they can keep hold of her. They'll be competitive before you know it. Mackenzie with 2 goals for Richmond, Wakefield and Stow got 1 each. Collingwood, Sheridan 2, Davy, Alexander, Lynn, Brown and Molly with a goal apiece. Best on ground for me, Conti, Brennan and Seymour for the Tiger Girls. Benici, Lambert and Davy for Collingwood. They were fantastic and got them home. And finally, we finished with Brisbane Lions. They destroyed the Eagles by 45, 10-5 for 65, playing 2-8-20, and they literally steamrolled a hapless Eagles side as they continue their undefeated year and look like a march towards finals. What's even remarkable of this game is in the first half, the Eagles should have been ahead. They smashed them in the centre and won the inside 50 account. However, this is the problem. Their execution was bad and it hurt the Eagles girls. Scoreboard pressure in this game is paramount and the Lions showed why. They were dominant after the break. Smith bagged 3 goals, Dakota Davidson bagged 2. Arno led the way. She was an absolute provider throughout, 18 touches, and she started a lot of the scoring chains. And the combination of Lutkins and Cohen down the back, that is like a brick wall, and it is becoming very tough for opposition defence forwards to actually beat that. These girls bring it to ground, they stifle, they spoil, and it really sets up building from the back. Very quick at transition, and they can turn defence into attack before you know it. I do truly worry for these Eagles girls because they have solid players in McCarthy who had 18 touches, 4 tackles, but the gap from her to the rest is very, very high. And I struggle to see where their next win from. It's going to be tough. The Lions, on the other hand, they're flying high. They won't fear anyone. They've made a statement here. And it's going to be exciting when they come up against final sides because they play a game that is great to watch and they're scoring at will. Goals, Brisbane, 3 for Smith, 2 for Davidson, Anderson, Arnell, Bates and Bodgie. They get a goal apiece. Gilmore and McCarthy, a goal for them. Best on ground, Arnell, Lutkins and Conan for me were the best for Brisbane. McCarthy, Laurie and Swanson for the Eagles. It's going to be a long, hard road for the Eagles, I'm afraid. That's this week's wrap-up, so you don't if you've missed it, you've now got it. Be safe in lockdown, Victoria. And until next week, Pom out.